to get started, if you don't have a budget or just a small budget, thinking about the barter system, horse trading, we started off very fresh and early, before 2020, with a little budget here in Harrisonburg. So if you kind of reimagine or just be creative, and so we can take logs out to their shop, we can hire a portable mill to come in, and then instead of exchanging money, then we can give them some lumber. Same with drying and processing wood in their shops. So if you're new at starting a program and want to get something started, I always say just start small, get started somehow. If a tree comes down on public space, find a partner, a contractor that you can work with, and just get started. to get started, if you don't have a budget or just a small budget, thinking about the barter system, horse trading, we started off very fresh and early, before 2020, with a little budget here in Harrisonburg. So if you kind of reimagine or just be creative, and so we can take logs out to their shop, we can hire a portable mill to come in, and then instead of exchanging money, then we can give them some lumber. Same with drying and processing wood in their shops. So if you're new at starting a program and want to get something started, I always say just start small, get started somehow. If a tree comes down on public space, find a partner, a contractor that you can work with, and just get started. So Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance has been a big factor here in Harrisonburg. We have a strong Renaissance to rebuild downtown for the last 2 decades. Since we are a college town, there are a few bars downtown, and we shared our story with Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance at an early stage. They love the concept of utilizing this wood instead of it ended up in the landfill. So with their grants, they've helped with several projects around the city. This is one grant to freshen up an alley between 2 restaurants in downtown Harrisonburg. And the guys created these awesome cedar planters and trash receptacles. You kind of want to explain the process of how this project started to end?
Yeah. So the idea for the space to be kind of made over was already on the table. There was an idea of how many planters and trash cans, and then Rhett and I are leaning up against a partition wall to hide some of the trash receptacles for city pickup. And they came to us, said, "Hey, we need something here. These planters, they've got need to be able to hold butt drain water, need to be a certain size, need to be a certain weight. It's a college town. It's outside of a couple bars and restaurants, and so need something that's going to hold up to some abuse in the late evenings, and something that fits a concept and an aesthetic throughout the whole project." And so you can see where the trash can and the planter and the wall there is all out of the same material. It's all local eastern red cedar, and exterior durable material. Yeah, they kind of left a lot of the design of the look of the pieces up to us. And you can see on top of the planter, we put a sharp bevel on the very top of that, just so that people wouldn't treat it like a drink holder or a bench or a seat. It's not designed to be a bench. It's not designed to be an ashtray. So just trying to work in some concepts and ideas in there on how to kind of feature what it is and prevent it from being something it's not.
Another HDR project, this is community library. We have a pollinator program to the city of Harrisonburg that's very strong. So this pocket park downtown at Liberty Park, we created this living library, part of our June pollinator celebration month, along with a local cidery nearby, just on the next block over. So it's just community effort, community driven. Yeah, just a little bit about this project here that you all created. They built this lending library at their shop, and then we installed it in the park.
Yeah, all white oak construction. We're in generally an oak dominated deciduous forest region. You see the ashes, they're a little bit earlier in the stage of forest progression. Oak is kind of the most dominant, oak hickory around here. White oak's a great exterior species. And so they came to us and said, hey, we want to put this thing up outside, come up with a design. We'd like to do a photo session and be able to show it off. And so we incorporated a lot of white oak into the design. Originally, we were told that the whole thing was going to be painted. And so glad we ended up using white oak. We could have used something else, being that it was going to be painted, and then they ended up loving the color and texture of the wood, so it stayed clear. But that's right in a small downtown park. That's just it's a garden. It's a beautiful location, and a great addition to that park setting, and a nice, just full circle. Material came from the community. It's going back into the community. It's a lending library for people of all ages to be able to share and use. And so it's kind of a kickback to our community, and yeah, really nice setting there.
So as you do start a program, Ned touched on something briefly. We wanted to use ash outdoors as much as possible. But if you're a woodworker, or as I'm learning as I go, a lot of this material, and especially ash, hasn't really been the test of time. That it doesn't last outside as long as we want it to. So with these two projects, he kind of hit a point there that we use red cedar and oak for these outdoor projects. We started early with putting some benches out into the community around downtown with ash, and they just didn't really hold up to the test of time. So a lot of this is trial and error. You just got to get started and hit the ground running and get some projects in your community. Business owners see what we're doing downtown. They request it. They want more of it, and it just spread the message. And it's kind of a grassroots effort to get this wood back into your community. Anything else? Some other city projects here back, you can see inside at the cidery, at one of our other diners across the street, we were able to take that ash and put it back inside as some beautiful bars and tabletops inside. So then, this just right back into our community. There's a great project I'll let the guys talk about at Broad Porch Coffee. I don't know how many board feet. This was a larger project for a full build out of a brand new coffee shop on Port Square. The guys have helped out with employee gifts. It's a little box that Rhett, I think, put together. And we can do it for retirement gifts and employee appreciation gifts back to the community. Right behind us is they built out frames out of ash with our mission and vision for the Public Works Department. I think we have like 6 of these around the office, and each one's a little bit different. They're so creative and design with the frames. And just throughout all the Public Works, there's a walnut wall, live edge that they helped us with for all our achievements in our lobbies. So just all the city projects over the years that we can kind of show and put back into our community, and we know exactly where this wood came from. We track the wood through our system, and we can tell you which park the tree came out of, and the owners of the business love that. And we're actually getting to the point where we've been through a lot of our ash wood, and it's almost going to get to the point where we don't have a lot of in our inventory. You kind of speak on that, but you're still getting a lot of requests for ash, and how much more do you have on inventory?
Unfortunately, we love working with ash. We've done a lot of projects with ash. There are 3 different restaurants represented on there downtown, and all 3 of those have a lot of ash in them. And because we've been fortunate enough to put a lot of it back into downtown, our inventory is running really low compared to what it was. But yeah, we were very lucky. There's a lot of that. You were talking about Westover Park, the ash trees that had come down. A lot of those make it back into the community less than a mile away from where they grew. So that's a low carbon footprint as far as the distance they had to travel to their second life. One project there, Broad Porch Coffee, does have a lot of ash in it, and it is gorgeous. The hard part is finding a place to get it back out into the community, but as soon as you find a place to get it back out into the community, more of the community is going to start requesting urban wood back into it. And the fact that there are so many restaurants represented right there is a testament to that. Yeah, and we love ash. I wish we had more, and the inventory is going to dwindle.
Yeah, the Magpie Diner there, that's probably 2020. We did, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 tabletops for them. And then Sageburg Cider Works moved in right across the street from them about a year later, and we put in a couple bar tops and floating shelves in there, and they bought some purchased some tabletops online. They were a Formica product, and it's in a cidery. The Formica started to peel up, and since then we have gone and replaced all of their tabletops in their space, minus maybe one or two coffee tables that they've got. But and then with Broad Porch, you can see that there's 6 tables in there. I think it's a total of 15 tables, 5 benches, and then an entire bar top surround. So between those 3 businesses, we've got about 50 tables, 5 benches, and then a bunch of display stuff, floating shelves, bar tops like you see there, countertop surrounds, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, when you're talking to people, Ashford for us was a very particular circumstance where it had to be taken down for liability purposes. It had to be taken down quickly in order to be effective, efficient, and cost effective. And so our market, our small market between us and Public Works, was flooded very quickly. And the second it went out into the community, people started to hear, hey, this is stuff from the disc golf course. This is stuff from Westover Hill, by the pool, by the pavilions. And when one business owner would say, hey, where did you get your tabletops? I love these. We went through our inventory in 3.5 years. And like Rhett was saying, it's dwindled down now where we've got a few boards here and there in different specs. And we've got a fair bit of live edge stuff left over. And we're milling some right now. But the vast majority of that material went back into the community in a very short period of time.
Yeah, so moving on from our city projects, just a few services that Rocktown helps us with. They have their solar kiln, and they've had those for a couple of years. This is a design by Virginia Tech that we both have. We have one in our program at our city facility, but then they also moved into and built out a DH kiln. And so when we need to have lumber sanitized for projects, we can send that lumber to Rocktown and they can finish that process for us. And again, we've done some bartering with this service too, and to put a whole charge in their kiln, then to let them have a few boards, and then that pays for the service. And they have their chart. We can how many board feet, how much the lumber is worth, valued at that board foot, and they use a chart, a local lumber chart for cost. And then, we can do the math there and work it out that way to where it's fair to both partners moving forward. So any thoughts on drying lumber and how you go about that process?
Yeah, this was like I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of learning early along. The first thing we did when we moved into our space in April of 2019 was we built that blue kiln that you see there. Within about 1.5 years, we were constructing the second one. That one there is about a 12.5, 13-foot capacity. We built one that's a little bit smaller. Most of the material that will be processed is 10 and 8 foot. We do process some stuff that's longer, and we've had to kind of forego the solar kiln on some of the bigger slabs, bigger logs. But once we built the second one, we decided that we needed to be able to sterilize it. We see temperatures warm enough to kill bugs, but they're just not sustained for long enough duration. So you can see Rhett's there pulling the cart on our lumber cart. And just to be clear, that's a little more than a charge. That second stack on top there was probably either just for putting out an impression or just for a temporary storage solution. But that smaller section there, or the larger section that's underneath there, is about the size of a charge. That's a 10-foot cart. There's two of them. They go into that kiln. We purchased a reefer box. It's a refrigerated truck box. Put it up on a foundation. Put in that kind of sidewalk there. Put a cart down on those tracks with V-groove casters. It's all custom. We kind of ordered and part and parcel the whole thing together. Purchased a Nile drying unit, stuck it in there, hired an electrician, and got hooked up and running. And so it's a really particular system that we operate. We try to let Mother Nature do as much of the expenditure as possible. So we're very patient with the air drying phase. Nothing goes into the solar kilns anything earlier than maybe 6 months. Every now and again, you might see some maple, poplar, or cherry go a little bit faster as that dries really quickly. Don't do a whole lot in the softwood, so everything else on our list typically dries anywhere from 8 to 16 months. And if it's, you can see in that picture on the left, that's an oak, and that's probably 3.5 inches thick. So that's going to air dry for about 2 years. Then it goes into the solar kilns till we can get it down close to single digits. As far as moisture content, and then we finish it off in the DH kiln, and that cycle in the DH kiln is usually less than 7 days. Occasionally we need to do some more significant actual drying and less just sterilization, but by the time we get up to sterilization temperature in our DH kiln, the materials, pretty much all that last little bit of moisture that we're trying to get out of them is gone. We're now sterilizing and then ramping down temperature and getting it out and getting it ready for either the shelves, projects, or going off to the customers whose material it is.
So this was another addition to their shop. Another service that they provide is slab flattening. What year did you buy this machine?
22 maybe.
Yeah, probably. I'd say 4 to 5 years ago, we got the slab flattening machine. We started started collecting logs, having it milled, and we had large slabs to sell to the community or use in our own projects, but we didn't have a way to process that material. You could sell somebody a very large slab that is not flat, or we decided it was necessary for us to get a way to help dress the material, not only for our projects, but for the customer to buy the product, or we offered as a service. People could bring a slab they bought somewhere else, and we will flatten for them for an hourly rate on our slab flattening machine.
The big part of this partnership is outreach. Like I said earlier, everything we do, every event that we have, we include our slides, we include our message here at Harrisonburg Urban Wood Program. We've been fortunate through the last few years as our story continues to grow, and even the invitation to be here today has been just quite an honor. But, we've had over a handful of different field trips from the Virginia Urban Forest Council to other state agencies. We had retirement communities come out, bus trips, and all part of it is we can do a field trip to their shop. We can talk about hands-on, and just getting the message out throughout Virginia and other communities is a big thing, and to share ideas and to there's always something new coming across, our emails or our phones or text messages, weekly, daily, that, the more we talk about this and kick around ideas, that it continues to grow on the program. And I think it's very valuable that we take time out of our day, and, these guys could be, producing and making something in their shop, but they stop to do what they're doing, and, help us with these tours, and its outreach is just tremendous to build out a program.
We've had groups everywhere from Girl Scout troop to a teacher privately teaching woodworking lessons to young people, to college students and senior learning programs. I mean, we've had a wide range of people coming out to our shop, and we're teaching about the urban wood ideal to all age ranges. So if you're getting your urban wood program started in your area, get in with the educational program. I mean, that's one good way to teach people about it, is get with people who are already teaching people.
So yeah, James Madison University, about 5 years ago, we've partnered with several programs at JMU, architectural design students, industrial design students, along with other curriculums in the city. Joe Layden has been huge at building these programs throughout the state of Virginia and a handful of other universities across the state. But as we do this, and then JMU actually has a Life Learning Institute for retirees, and we were asked to teach a class a couple years ago, and we're planning on doing it again this year. So again, this is just kind of a twofold thing. It's just more outreach, let the community, citizens, retired folks in Harrisonburg come and learn about what we're doing in this classroom setting. And this was also included a workshop where they could do a make and take birdhouse in one of the sessions. And again, Rocktown took time out of their day in production to come and help teach this class at this level. So into our workshops, it's kind of been our bread and butter, and we'd really like to dive a little deeper into that. Our workshops are huge, again, into the community outreach. We put up some slides at the beginning when we invite participants to come in. We share our slides, we share our message, and Ned and Red, they take time to come and help us actually with these make and takes. So as you can see here, this is a hairpin table that the tree cookies, these are ash trees that we got creative with this and actually made the cookies out of one of the larger trees, or a larger tree in one of our city parks. And then we purchased the legs, and participants were able to come in, learn about the program, actually sand on the tree cookie, and then put the table together to take home. And this was kind of one of our very first, and we hosted this at our recycling center, just to promote, more recycled things we do here in Harrisonburg. If you can tie all these programs together, even if it's in your parks department, it's been better housed at our public works department. I moved into public works, 5 years ago, and with, to build this out citywide. So in your community, it might fit better. We've been working with other communities throughout the state that it may fit better in your parks department or your sustainability office, wherever it fits well. Then just run with that. But to host a workshop at the recycle center and then incorporate some of the recycling services that we do here in Harrisonburg, just how you can just tie all this together, it continues to build on the program.
Yeah, these workshops are super impactful for the participants. It's all smiles. We hear it weekly. Hey, I don't know if you remember, I did this certain workshop, and we've done bee hotels, bird houses, charcuterie boards, hairpin tables,
Dog bowl stands.
Trying to just continue to scratch and see what comes up. And people really enjoy it. We get feedback from it all the time. Nobody's making money off of this. It's just an opportunity to spread the word about what it is that we're doing, what we're trying to do. And you're delivering a message, and people are leaving with something that they can take home, a memory that was good, and you're making relationships in the community. And so there's a little bit of a sacrifice. You're putting some time and energy into something that you're not seeing immediate kickback from. But in the long run, we got a call last week. Somebody called, said, "Hey, this is last minute. I need some material for a project. We've got a wedding tomorrow. And we thought about you guys because we came to one of charcuterie board workshops." And so that connection, that work just kind of pays off in the long run, and gets the community involved, and shines a positive light on the project, or the efforts in general.
So continuing with workshops, there's about 4 or 5 more slides that through the workshops, but this was back at the Cider Works. We since we're called Sagebird, we thought the birdhouse was fitting here. And along with this, we can sell a ticket, get the participants get free drink along with their ticket, and they get an evening worth time to come out and socialize, learn about our program, and then the guys help put those kits together. You can see this, like I said, the smiles and the interaction with the community. We just branded this, as our urban wood program, and our partnership just grows stronger. And they continue. I see people in the picture there that are teachers at, at the local city schools that learn about this and spread the word back in through the community. With our pollinator celebration, the month of June, this is coming up. We did a bee hotel, and this is actually in partnership with our parks department. And we set up shop, and these are first come, first serve. This is a no charge. There's a couple different approaches how we can administer these workshops. At this one, there's no charge. It's kind of while supplies last. Middle of the day, when the kids are out of school, and they're with either a babysitter or mom or dad, they can come out into the park. And this has been very successful, just celebrating a couple different programs in one, with our urban wood, our urban forestry, and our pollinator program all together. And it's a free service for the families to come out and just enjoy the day. This one was brand new, and this was HDR driven. Again, the guys mentioned that, who has a unique live edge dog bowl stand for their pup. So this is awesome. They do a lot of the work ahead of time, the heavy lifting in their shop. The slabs came from our program. We supplied the slabs of wood to them. Then they take the slabs of wood to their shop. They get everything processed to where they're ready to go. The participants don't have to use any really saws or power equipment for liability reasons. They kind of get to put that final touch on it. They get to pick out their wood and then put it together. And again, this comes with a drink. This was at our local brewery, an evening of fun. And you can see the different partners. We have 5 different partners here in this situation. And the more you can partner and advertise, and this was a charge for this one, and this administered. The charge was put out through the platform of HDR, and they set up the registration and handled all that for us. And we just showed up with the wood and helped them have a great evening. This was just a great event. Anything kind of special about this one that you noted or take home?
The people, the community, and everybody who attended seemed to really enjoy it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm surprised every time, every project or every event that we do like this, how much people enjoy it, how much they start telling us that they enjoyed it a year ago when they did the event. So not only furthers the word, but it really is getting the information out into the community and making people not only aware of it, but enjoy the fact that there is that kind of program around.
So you guys mentioned our charcuterie board workshop. This is one of our favorites. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. And again, the partnerships continue to grow with HDR and JNU Dining Services. This workshop is at one of our other breweries in town. Again, you get a drink and you get to make a charcuterie board. But this also includes, outreach from our program, but then the chef from Dining Services shows up with a huge spread of cheeses and meats, and we go inside, and while the participants are having their drink, then they get to learn how to make a charcuterie board. So we have a blank of a slab of either several species. We'll change it up. We even had sycamore and ash and oak and walnut, and the participants get to pick out their slab of wood. And then, like I said earlier, instead of giving them a saw or something that they might, be a liability to us, we go inside and we learn how to do the charcuterie board, and we do the outreach for our program. And then, all the heavy lifting that these guys volunteer to do to come out, the participants will trace out their board. We have some templates where they can make it, or they can make their own design. And then the guys, we'll cut that board out with the jigsaws and get everything prepped and ready to go. And then as we come back outside, the participants' boards are ready to go. And then they can finish, they can sand, they can add handles to it. And then they go home with a bottle of oil and some other goodies. And it's a great evening of fun. And again, this sells out annually. And we do this during the Taste of Downtown, during spring break time. So, it's promoting business back into our local downtown owners. And it's just been a positive for many years. And I think this would be a continued workshop that we continue to do. You can just see here, this is the process. So, while we're inside having fun, and learning how to make a charcuterie board, the guys outside working hard, cutting out. And we do about 25 participants at this, as we found that that's probably our max that we can handle to get inside and outside, and the guys to get finished up. By the time we get out, then this is what we kind of settled with the 25 participants at this workshop. So all these comes with sawmill days, our portable sawmills. Anytime we can include a teaching, a learning experience. We have several sawmill owners that we partner with. They come in on city lots or private lots, and we can set up shop. And we'll bring a few logs, and we'll stop and take time to explain what we're doing and how we do it. And this is more, just another great outreach that. A lot of people have never seen a round log made into square lumber. So it's just, and explain the process that, that if a tree comes down in your own yard, these guys are available and around town, instead of chucking that, fallen tree from a storm up into firewood or throwing it into the landfill. That these services do exist. And with Virginia Urban Wood Group and our directory, it's amazing to see how many people are doing this throughout Virginia, and that we can just continue to expand on this, and instead of throwing this material away. So just really big, if you're trying to create a program in your community, I ran into a lot of roadblocks. It's a slow churn. Just be persistent. I was very fortunate that there was a changing of guard when I first started this about 10 years ago, with a new parks director, a new city manager. We were able to get a lot of this language into city documents, and I think it's been very helpful. So if your community's either revising or creating a brand new plan, these 5 documents, we all have urban wood language in these documents. We started with a comp plan in 2018 as we were getting started, and then our tree canopy study. Our EAP was, the year after, and continue to roll with this. And then, just build out into a vision and a continued vision throughout the city. And, it's been very important. If you have a supervisor over you or a director or a city manager that, it's a hard no, that this is, we don't want to do this, just be persistent, continue to check out other departments. Like I said earlier, it may fit better in another department. Find that person that maybe say yes or even a maybe and get started on small scale, and share stories about other communities, how successful it is, and it's very doable. Check out, the more we do this, the more we've been exposed. This is a daily conversation. We were on a webinar. This is live on YouTube. You can check this out. It's a great documentary. It goes inside the shop at Rocktown Urban Wood. It shows our other partnerships at our Harrisonburg public school systems. We have, elementary school that has received a grant for $30,000 to build out outdoor learning spaces all around the whole elementary school. And this was through a grant through the Virginia Department of Forestry, and there's urban wood all through the spaces. But this is a great documentary if you have a chance to check it out. This is my information, our website. You can hit us up, reach out, call, email, just again, share ideas. We'll be happy at the end of this to answer questions. You can reach out at any time to me here at our office at Public Works. And Rocktown Urban Wood, again, they have a great website, social media. Look them up, follow, like, click, and reach out if you have any stories or want to share ideas, and just one big community, how we can continue to build this initiative, around anything to follow up with last minute. All right.
Awesome. Thanks. We've got a couple questions that were sent in. We're pretty much at time, but if people have a few more minutes, we can go through some. So feel free to drop some questions in the chat. I'm going to start with, for you three, I think you touched on this a little bit, but getting logs actually out the door from the city is something that a lot of municipalities struggle with or find pushback on very quickly. So what do you think is the most effective way for either a private licensed and insured sawyer or arborist to access those logs for milling from a city itself? I know you mentioned starting with an auction system. There's a bunch of different models and methods out there. What do you think is the best way to start?
Yeah, so I guess our program is unique that, most of the logs that are from public spaces come to our wood yard and kind of stay in our wood yard. So we here in Harrisonburg, at least, we don't have really logs going out. We process everything here on site, and we even have local arborists that know that they can come drop off logs at our site, to save them costs. So again, we've just utilized the public surplus avenue. I know other communities throughout Virginia that we've talked to, there's a different approach that maybe, the logs down, that, then they have that partnership with a handful of contractors that they know once the log's down, then they can come receive it. I don't know if I didn't give you a great answer with that one, but that's kind of our approach in Harrisonburg.
Yeah, I think with the city's approach to having to consider it an asset and then monetize it, it limits some of that, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Get somebody who with a saw who's like, hey, I've been looking for a stick of mulberry. I see you got one. Or we've seen the model out of Baltimore, where they've got a couple different things going in. You can go in and mark a log and say, I want to purchase this log. They put a price tag on it, and you can pull it. They'll pull it out and load you and send you down the road. They've also got a section where it's if you pay a membership fee, you can come in and collect firewood or sometimes it's solvable material. It might not be a 20-inch trunk or a 30-inch trunk, but for urban millers, people who are looking for you know, an eclectic range of species, it's an opportunity there. And while it is kind of monetized, there's a system already set in place where if you're paying that membership, you can come out and get your rations, or go out there and mark a log and end up with it on your trailer by the time you leave.
Cool. And our next question, have you all ever experimented, or is there any attempt to, when using city tree removal permits that residents would need to apply to? I'm not sure if Harrisonburg has that system, adding in a checked box or advertising for residents to know that this program exists and to know that there's a place they can have their log either donated to or purposely milled for their own use.
Good question. Yeah, so our public tree ordinance is approached here, and so we only maintain public trees here in Harrisonburg. So in Virginia, Dillon state law that, you know, we cannot tell private homeowners what to do with their own tree. But outreach is huge. Our social media, a lot of people will learn about our program through the outreach. And there have been some success stories where we know an arborist is typically in the front part of the yard. You know, if the tree comes down and we know the arborist and we can get that log into our program, you know, that can save the homeowner money because the removal was not there. And we have received logs from, it's case by case. And if it's easy that we can take our piece of equipment onto the property and get the log, we'll take that from the homeowner. And so we do have calls. We don't have a checkbox, so we don't have that. We don't have a permitting for private residents to have to fill out to take their tree down here in Virginia. So they can do what they want to do with their own trees. So yeah, it's just word of mouth and outreach. And there has been some very good success stories with logs back into our program.
There's also a really key partnership between the arborists, working with certified arborists in the area. You know, most arborists would prefer to not have to cut down the tree and save it. If it's something that has to come down, they're trying to come up with ways to utilize that material, and either mentioning the city's program, mentioning us. We've gotten numerous calls in the last couple of years, property owners saying, hey, I've got this arborist coming to take down a tree. He gave me your information. We'd be interested in having a project made out of it. Sometimes that becomes a relationship between us and the property owner, and sometimes we push them down the road to somebody else. It's just creating those partnerships and finding the right people, especially the arborists. There are some tree services that their job is to fell trees. They remove trees, and that's their bread and butter. There are others who will take down a tree, but that's at last resort. And those are the guys that we find that are keeping us in the loop, and we're keeping in the loop.
And the guys have their own trailer too, so that they can actually, you know, if it's the right situation, they can go retrieve a log for themselves. And if, you know, maybe we can't help out, and then they jump in, and it's just that continuing communication, open line of communication, and just a network. Again, the network is creating that network through the community is just, you know, it's very helpful.
Great. Could you tell us a little more about the city resources that this program requires? And do you all have any funding for the program? If so, where do you normally get that from?
Yeah. So again, I was in the Parks Department for 15 years, and as we built this program out, I was suited better in public works. So again, like I mentioned earlier, just find what department works best. So we work under a small street beautification horticulture line item. And again, it's a very small budget that I work directly with, But again, the partnerships, and the barter system, it's just in combination of all this together, the grant funding from the Virginia Department of Forestry that helps out, just everything you can do kind of helps set up. One thing about our public auction system, it's not tremendously great because that revenue goes back into the general fund. It doesn't come straight back to my line item. So sometimes I have to really focus in how much money we made in the public auction, and then I'll ask that on the back end at the beginning of the budget season. Can I increase my budget? If we made $10,000, then I'm going to ask for 10,000 increase in budget for next budget year. So just be creative and just start with a small budget, and you can get it to work. We've proven under a small budget for the last 8 years that we've built out this program here in Harrisonburg.
Okay, great. Could you tell us a little more about how convincing and working with city leadership on this program has gone?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. Even as successful as our program is, there's been some pushback. It's not for everyone. It's not, and even the challenges that we've faced with raw material. I don't care what product is out there and what we're treating it with. It's with the UV rays and the extreme weather conditions anymore. It seems like the material doesn't last as long as maybe standard benches or whatever you might see downtown. So you got to really sell that. You sell that story about how important this is. And even so, up front that the shelf life of a bench or a planter box that you're going to put it out downtown may not last as long, but be okay with that. And, again, just the story of it, and the importance of, the sustainable trail of all this is just, I think there's a movement that people want to see this. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think you're kind of hinting at a couple of issues that we've had where wood went gray, and that's what wood does when it's outside and exposed, and without a budget for somebody to come around and oil or top coat, putting finish on different projects, that the wood's going to gray over time, and we got some kickback because of that, and it's partly mishandling setting expectations. We see, especially in parks and downtown, trash cans, different amenities, a lot of plastic, a lot of metal, a lot of stuff purchased online, mass manufactured, that's made for the purpose of selling to parks and selling to municipalities and schools and stuff like that. And we're trying to push the story and having great success pushing the story of, this is actually came from the park. This is cedar that came from the park. This is, a piece of memorabilia from a tree that's been sitting at the courthouse for the last 150 years, and setting those expectations and changing the expectations that I bought this green plastic and it stays green for 25 years. Well, it's going to end up in the landfill and it's never going to rot. Can we come up with a different material that's locally provided and have less of a carbon footprint, and just change our expectation? Be okay with having a gray board as your bench or planter or sign or whatever.
Great. Well, that's what we have for questions. Thank you so much to all of our presenters, and thank you so much to all of our attendees. We'll send an email following this. There will be a recording available as well. We'll send an email with some contact info, but please feel free to reach out to our presenters or to our info@urbanwoodnetwork.org email with any questions. If you would like a ISA CEU, today, make sure you fill out the RSVP so we have your certification number and contact info.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Contact information's in the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you
Thank
so
you all.
much. I'm Scott Ward, Chair of the Urban Wood Network, and just want to thank everybody for participating, everybody who helped put this together. It's been really great. And this is just one of the things that we do for the community to spread knowledge, share the good word about Urban Wood. We have, as Thaddeus said, a members-only marketing toolkit. We have online marketplace for members, and we do a lot of educational programs like this throughout the year. So thanks everybody for attending. If you want to learn more about the Urban Wood Network or join, municipalities can join for free. Our website is urbanwoodnetwork.org. Thanks so much.